Hey folks, it's Dr. Mike for Renaissance Periodization. Today's topic, cheat meals, yay or nay? Let's take a look at the costs, benefits, upsides, downsides, and figure out which way to go, and it could be different for you depending on who you are and how you respond. So, the upsides of cheat meals on a fat loss diet are two, at least that I can think of, maybe two and a half. First, is they can be a psychological break from hard dieting, which can be really cool. It can refresh you, you can hit the diet hard right after, awesome. Another thing is they can replete a little bit of your intramuscular glycogen stores and give you better training response the next day. Or if you have the cheat meal after a big workout, like a big leg workout, and you go have a cheat meal, you may actually be able to drive a little bit more muscle growth from that workout itself. So some good positives. Now, here's what cheat meals don't do. We'll get to the negatives in a second. Because a lot of times people think that cheat meals have certain positives that they actually don't have. And here are some sort of myths that we have to bust. First is cheat meals typically do not cause net benefit changes in metabolism or in hunger hormones, which is to say that they do cause these changes, but only during the time that the cheat meal is sort of in the bloodstream. All right, so hunger. When you eat a big cheat meal, a lot of times you won't be hungry anymore, but it doesn't have a lasting effect. As soon as the cheat meal is gone, you're just back to your fat loss diet. You're exactly as hungry as you ever were because now the calories are lower. Your metabolism, people say, I'm eating cheat meal to boost my metabolism. When the cheat meal is in your bloodstream, being, shuttled to cells, your metabolism absolutely goes up. During the time that the high calories are there and your metabolism burns some of them up, and then after the high calories are gone, after the cheat meal is gone, your metabolism doesn't stay elevated. It drops right back down as soon as you start fat loss dieting. So there's no long-term net benefit effect feed forward, which is kind of what a lot of people think they use cheat meals for. Like, oh, to fucking stoke metabolic fire, bro, got to reboost the metabolism. They don't do that. They just boost it during the time that they're in, and the effect really just cancels itself out. There's no evidence that is convincing for a super compensatory effect after, such that if you're dieting down and your metabolism starts to get sluggish, you have a cheat meal and then you just whoosh, you keep dieting and go. You have a cheat meal, you'll gain some weight from the cheat meal, your metabolism will fire up, you'll lose the weight from the cheat meal and just be back to normal. And the only way you keep going is to continue to keep calories low and activity high and lose weight. So there's no actual real big benefit there. Another thing they don't let you do. A lot of times people dieting for a show, like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a cheat meal, fill out, see how I look filled out. Well, there's better ways of doing that. Cheat meals come with lots of fluids usually and lots of sodium, which means they don't let you see how you'll look filled out and dry. They'll let you look puffy, and that's not something you should be interested in on your way to a bodybuilding show if your ostensible goal for having the cheat meal is to kind of assess your physique more carbed up. Just increasing clean carbs for a day or two does this much better. So instead of having like 100 grams of carbs from rice every meal, like you maybe normally do on a fat loss diet, you bump to 150 or 200 for several days. You really fill out, but you didn't increase the salt. You didn't increase the water. You get a drier, tighter look. Everything looks great. And you're like, oh, wow, man, I'm really making progress. I note the body weight and everything, and then I go back to work. So a lot of times people want cheat meals to do these things, but they don't. But why do people use them a lot and say that they do these things? Because cheating's fun. Like someone's like, hey, do you want to have like a whole pizza after this leg workout on a diet? Or do you want to increase the amount of white rice you add to your meals by some fraction for the next 2 days? What the fuck? That last one doesn't seem appealing at all. There's the temptation to pretend cheat meals do some shit they just don't do because we fucking want to cheat, right? Downsides of cheat meals. There are a few. We have to be aware of them. It's not all downsides because we saw there are some upsides here. But for some people, especially not all, cheat meals can cause higher rebound hunger. When you're locked into a diet and you're not eating ultra tasty foods, you kind of forget what they taste like. And you maybe like sort of remember, but you haven't experienced it in a long time. Your own clean foods that you're eating for your diet, because you're pretty hungry, they taste pretty good. If you get cheat meal in there, oh my God, that's like giving somebody heroin. You're like, oh, this will, really won't make you want heroin anymore because finally you got heroin. You should be good. Like, that's not how it works, right? Now, of course, the heroin analogy is way, way, way overblown. But a lot of times people will have a cheat meal and they have the pizza and they finish the pizza and they're like, so what do you want now? Back to clean dieting? Like, fuck that. I want to eat pizza again. So that rebound hunger is really nasty. It doesn't happen in everyone. Some people that they have a bit of cheat meal and they don't want it for another 2 or 3 weeks. Some people, they have it and it just makes them want it more. I'll say this again when we finish the talk, but depending on which one you fall into is how you're going to choose whether or not to have a cheat meal. Another bad thing for some people, again, not all, having cheats especially regularly, or cheats when you sort of decide it's time, I'm too depleted, you have a cheat, can leave you psychologically with this looking forward to cheat meal kind of perspective. And that can be nasty, nasty, nasty on your sort of mental state in a few ways. First, you get anxiety before cheating. Okay. You're anxious to get the fucking cheating going. So if it's like Thursday and on Friday you take your cheat meal, Thursday's the longest fucking day of your life. Friday morning and afternoon, the longest fucking, hours of your life. And then Friday night, you have your cheat meal. Everything's great. During, a lot of times, especially if you're really far gone on a diet, a lot of the times you want to enjoy your cheat meal, but you're so rushed to get it in that your consumption is mindless. And this is actually reported among more serious folks that have binge eating disorder or disordered eating that's binge style, that they don't even hardly remember or experience tasting the food. It just goes in. So a lot of times you have mindless consumption, which means you're not even enjoying the cheat meal anymore nearly as much as you could. And then towards the end of a cheat meal, like when you've got the last slice of pizza or the last few chicken nuggets, you have this like fear of the end of good times. You're like, oh, fuck, this is my last nugget. And after this, I start fucking starving again. I hate my fucking diet. The fact that the cheat meal's coming to an end soon can be psychologically painful. And then after, you can have like mini depression where like you're hungry and your next meal is some clean meal. You just go to sleep and you're like, damn it, all I want to do is just keep cheating. God, fuck, why am I here, right? And even if none of that stuff happens to you, cheat meals can cause temporary bloating. As a matter of fact, they're very likely to, because you have a ton of fluids with a cheat meal usually, and cheat meal is almost always going to have a ton of salt and a ton of carbs. And that can really throw off your psychology by messing with your look. You have a cheat meal, you were like on track, you look a little depleted, but you were seeing some cuts, seeing some changes. You have a cheat meal, you're like, this is going to be great. You wake up the next morning, you look in the mirror and you're like, what the fuck? Like a lot of shit is blurred out because you're holding body water. It may not have a great effect on your psychology and it may actually kind of demotivate you. And you're like, fuck this diet. It's not even working. Like I look like shit. Fuck it. I'm just going to keep cheating because who gives a shit? People do that all the time. Another thing you can do is mess with your psychology by throwing off the scale. Like you weighed 130 pounds, 131 pounds, 129 pounds, and things are sort of going in the right direction, 128, etc. You have a cheat meal because someone told you to, or you thought you needed to, or you felt like it. And then all of a sudden the day after, comfortably, easily, no problem, the scale could be as high as 135. What the fuck? The last time you were 135 was like fucking 6 weeks ago. Did you just erase 6 weeks of your diet? No. You know better than that, maybe on your best days. But right now you feel like you've taken like 18 steps back. And that can fucking be devastating, especially if you're attached to that number on the scale and you see it as a note of progress. That can suck. It can also mess with calorie adjustments by throwing off the scale so much. The scale goes up and maybe doesn't come down for a few days. And you have to ask yourself the question like, okay, these last few days, I had the cheat meal, whatever. These last few days I've been on this diet, back on the diet that I'm supposed to be, but I'm still at a higher weight than I'm supposed to be because I don't know why. My answer is the cheat meal is still hanging in there for you. And you're like, fuck, do I need to reduce my calories even further? And this is a very common thing that happens, all too common. People have a cheat meal. They'll gain some bloat. They'll go back on the regular diet. The bloat takes a lag time of a day or 2 or 3 to really come off. And then, at day number 2, they're like, fuck. I gained too much on the cheat meal. I gained too many, actual grams of body fat, which is damn near impossible from one cheat meal, unless you eat like 10,000 calories or 50,000 calories, some stupid shit like that. Then what ends up happening is they overcompensate and they slash the calories, increases diet fatigue, increases wanting a cheat meal even more. And then we're into this fucking really nasty cycle. So how do you make your call? Are cheat meals right for you? Well, there's sort of a 2-step process. Step number 1 is to ask yourself, do you need a psychological break from dieting? If the answer is no, don't fucking take a cheat meal. There's no reason to do it. Because remember, there's no net metabolic benefit or anything like that. It's not like a cheat meal has some additive effect that like, oh, it'll make you just better even if you don't need it. Don't take it. If you do need a psychological break, consider a cheat meal. And then if you're considering, move in to step number 2. Step number 2 is, do you have prior good or bad experiences with cheat meals? Are your experiences more like, hey, you feel really refreshed and you're good to go? Or are your experience, honestly, and you have to be honest with yourself, more like, fuck, I just want more cheat meals and I'm desperate and I want to give up on the diet? If your experience previously has been good and you need one, then you take one. Sweet. If your experiences prior to this have been bad, do not take one. And if you really need a break from the diet, consider adding clean carbs in for a few days, or consider adding clean carbs in for a week or half a week or a week or even a few weeks, or even just take a maintenance phase because you're like really far gone diet psychology wise, you're really over dieted. It's okay to take, 4, 6, 8, 10 weeks of just maintenance eating. You won't gain any weight. That's what maintenance is. You won't gain any fat because it's maintenance. It's not a mass gain. And then when you're feeling really good, then you can do another, 6 to 8 weeks of dieting and finish up strong. If you don't have experience with cheat meals and you don't know where you stand on this, next time you do a fat loss diet, try a cheat meal. if you get to the point where you feel like you need a psychological break from dieting. You'll take the cheat meal, and if it goes super well, then cheat meals can be something that when you really feel like you need a break, you take one. If it doesn't go well and it goes all in the sort of not so great ways, then you'll know for future reference not to take one. I used to take cheat meals all the time. I had to discover all the shit by myself because we didn't have like fucking fitness YouTube back when I was doing this. And I had nobody to learn from really. And I learned about myself that cheat meals just absolutely didn't work for me, as it led to all the bad shit. And then I stopped doing them, and I haven't done a planned diet cheat meal in the last, 5 years or something like that, maybe longer of my diet journey. And it's been fucking amazing. And I've sit in front of you, the leanest I've ever been in my entire life. And my glutes look like a walnut. What the fuck's up with that? Anyway, hopefully this was instructional, and make your best choices. And if you have any questions, ask in the comments below. Also, folks, subscribe to our channel. Consider our products that we sell on Renaissance Periodization. All that stuff is linked below, because for the love of God, I need money. Remember, the hunt for Lamborghinis never ends. See you next time.